Awesome. Hey, I'm Mary Beth McAndrews from Dread Central. How are you, Corey?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm so good. I'm so excited to chat with you about this movie. You're so good in it.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
So my first question for you is, what was your relationship or kind of familiarity with Dracula before coming onto this project?
First film that had was in the Dracula lore that I saw was Blackula, the Black
Hell
Exploitation.
yeah.
Mr. Marshall, and it was an incredible classical actor, and Pam Grier. So that was what the 70s, early 70s, at the height of the Black Exploitation movement era, and so that was my entree into it. And then I read the novel years later, and
What a good intro into the Dracula universe with Blackula.
this is what I'm saying. Like, it just needs to be, I think there needs to be like I don't know, like a reinvention. I don't know. But I think that's the thing. It's like the lore, the fact that Bram Stoker's Dracula, that there's an influence there in that world, in that film landscape. And then now to like, that we're still able to find new things about this iconic character, this monster. It's fascinating to me.
So that's a really interesting point. Like, what do you think it keeps drawing us to like Dracula, especially like his story specifically, not just vampires, but Dracula? Like, what do you think is so fascinating about
I
it?
think it's the fear of the unknown, but it's also the fear of it's the fear of somebody who's not. It's not a as Anna says in the film. It's not a mindless animal. This
Yeah.
thing is an animal, but it is a thinking, conniving, calculating beast. And how do you confront that? It is the literal representation of evil and fear. And that is something that is fascinating to humans because I think we all have, we're all multifaceted, so we all have both sides, like there's the good and evil in
Oh
all of
yeah.
us, right? Like that's just human
Yeah.
nature. And so there's a dark fascination with the other side, that we like to watch on screen because we don't want to explore it, right? So
Yeah.
I think there's something about Dracula that embodies that thing and then has caused the sort of lore of vampire to exist because there's something you just also the ability to live forever, like that or it's just
Well,
the
they're like kind of
fascination.
sexy. Like I know that like this version of Dracula isn't like sexy, but like someone might think that and like whatever,
Some
but
people
like
might think this version of Dracula is sexy. I don't know, but listen, what's for you is for you. You know what I'm saying? No, but I think it is. There is that though. There is that fascination
yeah.
with, the ability the youth, the ability to stay young. And you watch Dracula in this film go through a transformation. Like he goes through a transformation. He's not quite where he is when he gets to London. He's not quite where he was when he left. And so you're watching the interim of this thing. So you really get to see what it is. Yeah.
That's so cool. So what was it like working with Javier Botet as the vampire? Like what were those scenes like to get to interact with him because he is so cool, like in all that makeup, and what
Yeah.
was that experience like?
Legend, legend, legend. I've had, respect for him. I've seen his other films. He comes from that, or he has embodied so many characters that have become iconic. Like the monster
Yeah.
world, and I think he's just incredibly gifted in finding again this version of Dracula is he's living and he's breathing and he's thoughtful. He's not thoughtful in a
Yeah.
good way. Like he's very um, there's a he's smart and
It's like
Javier's
conniving in a way
yes,
too.
yeah, very conniving. I mean, very very much so.
Conniving, but also like a predator. So it's really creepy because there's like
Yeah,
that animal aspect to it, animalistic aspect to it too.
and having an actor who can understand that even and put that into a physical movement is
Yeah.
or physical look or a touch or whatever that is. I remember one of the scariest moments. There's a moment at the end of towards the end of the film where he just does like this on my neck, And I was like on set, like this is it's just so. I'm watching, I'm looking at him, and he's the way he's moving, and I was just like, oh, okay, I get it now. I see what it is. This horror genre and what this like. It's just I get it, Dracula. I get it. Let's stop, you know. But it's just great to watch an actor who can do all of that. There's that moment where he's in the trailer where he's crawling over the little Toby, and he's just above his head, and it's just like, you know, you see why they hired the legend to do legend things.
Yeah, obviously. But then I wanted to hear, okay, what was it like to shoot this? Was there like a set on a like a boat that they built? I want to know like what that was like to be on the Demeter, and what if there
Yeah.
was a set, if there was a boat, like kind of what that looked like and what that was like getting to experience that set.
We huge kudos to Andre's vision, our producers, and our production designer, because and those conversations were ongoing too, and I was
Okay.
fortunate enough to be in concert with those conversations.
Oh,
Like they
cool.
would ask me questions because we were doing also research on Clemens, because these black men existed during that period who went to Cambridge.
Yeah.
So we were doing research on that, and so because I'm a big, nerd about history buff and all that kind of stuff, I was fascinated with the things that were on board the Demeter, and what that, because Clemens also grew up on a boat, and so
Yeah.
but all of it was practical. All of it was all the sets were practical. All the interiors, the big cargo hold was fully built. When it was empty, when they brought the crates in, they craned the crates in, and it was just fascinating. But we shot it in Berlin, and then we shot a portion of it in Malta, the exteriors in Malta on the sea.
Oh.
So they built this huge boat to scale, right? I know it's not too bad. We built this huge boat to scale, and then we had other versions of the boat that were torn apart, or different parts of it. Was just incredible to
That's so
watch.
cool.
Yeah, it was great, and the boat was on gimbals, and it moved and shifted. You would get seasickness inside on a stage because you can't see the horizon. It was fascinating. It was cool.
So you're a history buff. So this was cool to be in a, because you've been in a couple period pieces. So it must be cool as a history person to be able to be in a period piece like this. And you said you did some research about Clemens, right? And
Yeah,
I
well,
want to hear
just
more a little bit about that. That's so cool to like see what a black man's kind of position in society was like, and kind of translate that onto screen
well, it
too.
was important to just if I'm going to play this role in this movie during this time, then let's make it make sense. Like, right? Like, so
Yeah.
let's do
Yeah.
the work, and let's be duteous and studious about who he is and where he comes from, and his upbringing and all of that kind of stuff. And so um, these men existed, and actually there were Americans who weren't able to get an education, who had to go overseas to get educated, who were black Americans.
Oh, oh
And there was
shit.
so
Okay.
so there's a lot, it's not, we're not talking about that in the film, but that has to
Yeah.
be, that's a part of who Clemens is. And when he
Yeah.
goes to Romania, he's turned away because of the color of his skin, but everything else, he checks all the boxes. So he's an outsider. And so the reason that is important is because as an outsider, Dracula is also an outsider, and Anna is also an outsider. And I think there's a level of that whatever that triangulation is, they all see each other in a way that the other crew may not see, that representation of fear. So.
Well, Corey, thank you so much for chatting with me today about the Demeter, or the last voyage of the Demeter, and being a part of it. It's just so cool to
Can I
get to
ask you
pick
a
your
question?
brain. Absolutely.
What is the over top of your head right there? The clowns.
This?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's from Killer Clowns from Outer Space. What?
That is, that was one of the movies that I saw when we were just talking about it earlier. I'm that frightened the heck out of me growing up as a kid. And it's so funny because we were just talking about it, and it's right there, and I'm like, that's it.
To you,
He's
right above,
haunting me.
literally right above my head.
Right
It's
above your
taunting you.
head the whole time. Whew, that's crazy. That's so crazy. We were just talking about it.
Funny.
Anyway,
Oh, well,
look, when it comes to the horror genre, like I said, I'm a horror nerd. But anyways, thank you.
thank you so much. Have a good rest of your day.
You too. This is fun.